All right now, y'all. Come on in. Let's have a seat. Let's talk about some things, okay? So a week ago, I was watching a video with Corey Holcomb. It was his podcast. It was like a little clip. And he was making reference that people don't like to support business of ugly people. Okay. And that kind of blew me away. I'm not going to get into how I feel about Corey and none of that. You know what I'm saying? But this is what he was talking about. So it got me to thinking about pretty privilege and colorism. Okay. So when I was little, um, I was much lighter for some reason. Okay. However, with that being said, okay, because that's part of the colorism thing. Just hear me out. So when I was really little, my parents, both parents, they family and friends would be like, "Oh, she's so cute," do, 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 do. And it never really like I was smiling, of course, whatever. But inside, it wasn't really like I was truly sucking it all in. Okay. I wasn't sucking it up like that. Um, but my first experience with the idea of colorism came probably around 1988. And I believe the movie School Days, I think that was the year the School Days came out. And because I was the only child, when my parents watched certain movies, if it wasn't too risque, they would allow me to watch with them. And my daddy was real big on having me watch Roots early. And, like anything that had like a hidden message or something, anything that he didn't want to necessarily talk about, if he found a movie that coincided with how he felt about life, he would make me watch it. So that was one of those movies. Okay. So the scene where the light girls against the dark girls, you ain't nothing but a jigaboo, all that type of mess, right? Y'all remember, y'all was there, okay? So it really had hit me because there was a big part of me that even though I was light skinned and a big part of me identified with the lighter skinned girls, there was another part of me that identified with the darker skinned girls. And I didn't understand why I had this pull back and forth inside me. Because, of course, I'm a kid, right? And I grew up from two parents. One, my dad, was extremely light skinned, where he could possibly pass for other ethnicities. Curly hair, like really light. And my mother was a darker skinned woman. Not extremely dark, but she's dark. So with being brought up in the middle of those two people, I was kind of looking at the world a little differently. I loved my mother's skin tone. I thought it was so beautiful. You know what I'm saying? And a part of me used to be like, "Oh, I would just love to be dark skinned like you, mommy." You know what I'm saying? But another part was just fine with being light skinned like my dad. Not as light skinned as him, but light skinned. So throughout the years, I noticed two things with dealing with both parents. One, with my daddy, I noticed that every so many years, he would slightly try, not try, he actually kind of was identifying as different ethnic groups. Like at one time, he was a Hispanic, and another time, he was like really into Italy. And when I was really young, he had just came back from Germany. So he was, on a little German thing. And it went deeper than just trying to pick up the languages. It was like he was taking on different identities. And I was so perplexed just watching him, like, dude, what's wrong? But I didn't make it any better because of my confusion about things, and because he was so bright. I used to ask him, I said, "Daddy, are you white?" And I asked him a few times, as a kid. I remember, like, "Daddy, are you sure you're not white?" And he kept saying no. But throughout the years, watching him take on these different identities was really kind of messing with me a little bit. I'm like, dude, like, I know both of your parents. They're both black. I mean, yeah, kind of light skinned-ish and light skinned, and they're both black. But the problem with him was that there was no place in society for him. Nobody truly accepted him. And, like, especially in the time era that he was growing up in, the white people didn't accept him. And the black people were, you know, most people are darker skinned. I mean, it seemed to be at one point, like, especially when I was growing up, it was a rarity to be light skinned or something. I mean, not to say that it wasn't light skinned people. I'm not saying that at all. But as far as black, dark skin and light skin goes, I don't know if it was just like a idea or something, but even within my classrooms, there was only a small handful of light-skinned people in every classroom that I've went to, probably in all my life. Okay. So that's why I say that. Okay. Don't take no offense. But then I'm also raised by a dark-skinned woman who is living life, and I didn't know this until I actually sat down and talked to her, because I asked her about, before I made this video during the past week, I wanted to sit down and get her view of how she was dealing with colorism. And she was saying that when she was growing up, they had little sayings like yellow is mellow, and if you black, get back, or something. I don't know. Oh, that is beautiful.
I just finished the last touch-ups and stuff, the minor details, because even though
okay, well, let it dry somewhere, okay, sweetheart. And I'm making my video, so give me a minute. We'll talk. Sorry, but I gotta be a mom. It never stops. So when I was talking to her about it, she was saying that growing up, she didn't really see examples of people with like skin. Most people were like the Lena Horns, and I don't have a lot of names right now off the top of my head. I had some, but she just kind of threw me off a little bit. Sorry, y'all. But the Lena Horns and people, really light skinned, fair skinned black women were the ones that were being depicted on the screen. So she didn't see any images that looked like her, which made her feel some type of lack inside, like maybe I'm not so pretty or whatever. And that was heartbreaking to hear. And because of that, I think that maybe she has put up with a few things in her life. We're not getting into that. But when you have been broken by society about the color of your skin, it puts you in this inferior mode inside, right? And you don't feel quite as confident in relationships and within friendships, and at your job you always feel kind of like she, in her own words, the dark skinned little, the little dark skinned ugly black girl. And she brought up a few situations that she had to deal with um, racially that really hurt her feelings over the years. But we're also not going to get into that, right? So, me, myself, being a quote unquote light skinned girl and growing up with these um, two parents that are having very different experience, not only as male and female, but as far as living through colorism, and that has nothing to do with any other ethnic group. That's how we treat each other amongst each other. It's the light skin, dark skin thing that we do. So they're living two totally different experiences, and I'm right here in the middle. So it gave me like a really humbled way of looking at my pretty. And then as I got older, more and more people, guys or whatever, people are in your face and, ooh, you're so cute and this, that, and other. But as I matured, all of those compliments weren't holding any weight for me, because I started to realize that even though I had all of these people uh, giving me pretty passes, or including me in things, or excluding me from things because of this so-called pretty, inside I just really wanted someone to see me for who I was, and not this exterior shell, right? So I used to say all the time, being pretty is a blessing and a curse. The reason why is because you get all of these wolves in sheep clothing coming towards you, and you have to weed through, right? And you got these three different, and I'm not just talking about relationship between a woman and a man. Pretty also has people coming to you of all different types. Even think about it. The video that just surfaced of the little girl, I can't even remember her name, and I really don't care. But she was talking about how you have to look a certain way to be her friend, right? With with her putting that capsule around friendship, she's not looking for real friendship. She's looking for a facade. She's looking for somebody who, or a group of people who make her look good or better or whatever it is. Is there? She's not looking for loyalty. She's not looking for trust. She's not looking for people who won't sleep with somebody behind your back. You're not looking for people who won't steal from you. You're just looking for people who fit your idea of who you want to be around, or how the people should look. Okay. So whether it be a job, a friendship, um, uh, a relationship, if the people only see you for this shell, and that is the only reason why they chose you was your shell, they don't see your genius. They don't see your talent. They don't see your heart. They are here for the pretty, or the light skin, or the big booty, or the big wang, whatever, But we ain't talking about that right now. But you can flip this around however you personally need to. Because men are fine too. You know what I'm saying? It's some fine ones. And then there's some that's not fine, but they sexy. Jeez. And people will pick you for that. People will pick you for your career. People will choose you for your car. You know what I'm saying? But it's everything other than you, who you are, what you bring to the table, right? So within that pretty privilege, I was starting to get an air of depression. I'm not gonna say it's like depression where I can't get out of bed. It ain't that type of shit. Okay, it was like finding myself not being able to trust friendships and trust people because I see them coming towards me for other things than me. So I began crying and praying about, everybody using me for this and that, having me a little conversation. You know what I'm saying? And I did this for years. And then God said, okay, you looking for somebody to see past your face? Well, here you go. I'm going to put something on your face. I'm going to see if somebody see past your face, okay? So I got this bump. Don't ask me nothing about my bump, okay? It's there. That's what it is, okay? So, and it was smaller when, at the time that I'm talking about. So he gave me this bump. And even though I had to learn how to smile through it, even though it was like, it was almost like I was able to see it from the inside. You know what I'm saying? Like when you have a flaw, you swear that everybody is looking at it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know. So I began to overdress. Not overdress, but, I began to start dressing again because I was going through something. We ain't getting into that. Not only did I start dressing again, I started doing something that I had never really done before. I had started getting like real deep into weave. And I didn't see anything wrong with it. I mean, like, I told myself at the time that I was doing it because of the fact that I love to change my hair color so much, and that the hair color was starting to take my hair out and do little things, and I was seeing, the difference in my hair textures, and I was like, no, I can't keep doing this to my hair, because I spent a lot of time doing that, okay? But while I was changing my hair color so often, I was really trying to find myself. I was really trying to get comfortable with me. I was trying to figure out who Aziza was outside of this so-called pretty privilege. And I was never quite accepted. I was always a little weird. You know what I'm saying? The girls fucked with me, but they didn't. The guys was cool with me because I was, a bit of a tomboy, but at the same time they liked me. And, it was just always weird, But within that, I think I dived into the tomboy thing. I'm going to get back to the hair. I dived into the tomboy thing because I would rather them look at me as one of the guys than them always trying to get between my thighs, if that made sense. So then as I got older, me changing my hairstyles was also a shield because there was things that I wasn't liking in me. And especially the bump, it really came around the bump time. So I was like, really like masking it. I didn't want nobody to look at that. I would rather you look at my wild and extravagant, beautiful little hairstyles I was creating than to look at this. Then I started going into makeup, which I really wasn't ever really big on makeup, but I would rather you see all of this then this. All of this, then this. You know what I'm saying? So I was really like clawing on the inside and holding on to that pretty privilege because I wasn't realizing it, but I didn't want to lose it. Oh, did you hear me? Okay. So then let's speed along a little bit. Um, I shaved my hair off on the sides because I wanted to get out of spending all of that money that I had been blowing over the years on weave. Because I was doing it myself, I'm blowing big bread, okay? Like just big bread. I was changing my hair every week and a half, like I was spending that dough, okay? Spending way more than too much money, okay? But I was still not willing to let go of my facade that I had created because I didn't want nobody to see me. And I had spent all my life within this box of pretty privilege. And even though I had cried to God many a nights to have people see the real me, I began to mask more and more because of this bump. I mean, like, it was bad. And not only that, within that time period, I was really, like, people was on me. Like, my pictures and stuff, like, blowing up. Like, love, this. So, like I said, fashion statement, shaved my hair off on the sides. I was kind of wearing like that little punk rock mohawky little thing and, the braids. And I was, doing whatever I was doing or whatever. But that was the beginning of me shedding. Okay. So then I was thrown into working during the pandemic. And because nobody was getting haircuts, nobody was giving or getting haircuts at the time, I was starting to let my hair grow out. And because my hair was growing out, I was going through that ugly, ugly phase, okay? And not only was I going through that ugly phase, I had this bump. And I'm in public. Like, how did I allow myself, ma'am, can you take that with you? Thank you. I bless your heart. But not only was I going through my ugly phase with this in public every day at work, it was really, really humbling. It made me strip all of that ego, vanity, everything that I was calling myself holding on to. But not only that, it was still weeding through people because people ain't checking for you. People ain't, all of the fuck boys, all of the people that don't mean you no good. It's just, the people falling off. Friends don't mean you no good. Family, that don't want to be around you because you look some type of way, and you must have fell out. All that little bullshit, right? But while I was going through that, no, I'm saying hindsight, looking at while I was going through that. Inside, I didn't realize how much I was shrinking on the inside because what other people perceived me as all my life, this, oh, you're so pretty, oh, you're so pretty. And I prayed for people to stop just looking at me in that way. Now, you can see it or whatever. But now, because of my own insecurities, now people are seeing my insecurities, and I'm not getting all of that attention anymore. And then I got, then I started dreading my hair and things, and it really changes then. Like the type of people that even speak to you and say good morning, it's like a huge difference. Okay. But with all of that being said, this idea of pretty privilege, it is a cancer to society. To be honest with you, I think all privileges are a cancer to society. But we sticking with this one for today. And not only is it a cancer to society as a whole, but individually. Because as you get older and your body ain't as tight no more, male or female, it starts to play with your psyche that now you're less than. As you get older and you're not as young anymore, it begins, because society says that young is fine. So it begins to play with your psyche that you don't have youth anymore. If you go through any type of transformation, because at one point in my life, I really felt as though if anything disastrous was to happen to me, like say some crazo came and threw acid in my face, I did not believe in my heart of hearts that the person that I was attached to would truly still love and treat me the same. Because, like I said, when someone's love or like is attached to your thighs or your face or whatever, it is fleeting. You know what I'm saying? So that made me look at people deeper to see how they were moving with me, which I wasn't able to do while I was still keeping up with my mask and my facade and society, and I gotta stay pretty. I gotta stay this. I gotta stay that. I gotta keep it up. I gotta. You know what I'm saying? And then the dynamic between the light and the dark, which I hope everybody knows where it stems from, but how we got here, you know. But that's not a part of this subject for real, so I don't want to keep going off anywhere. But we have to stop this cat fight, because on one hand, we're making women or men, just the darker side of the fence, feel a sense of lack within themselves. And even if we don't admit it openly to anyone else, I mean, on an individual basis, people can say what they want to. I'm dark skinned and I'm fine and all this. But society plays with your head to a point that I think everybody questions themselves on some level if they are of standard. So in this moment, I am really kind of happy about the journey, this and my hair that I went through, because it has weeded out a lot of people who is not think. I'm not gonna say nothing bad about nobody, because I don't got time for it. But they wasn't for me. They wasn't. So I hope that as a community, as a just across the I don't know if it's just in America, but if it's not, I hope across the world we can get this together, because Ain't nobody got enough money for the therapy that needs to come behind this light and dark thing. I mean, the cattiness that comes about. You know what I'm saying? Like, even think about back in the 90s when dark skin was in. The light skinned dudes wasn't nothing. Nothing. And then when it flipped, and I can't remember who they said made it hot again, but then the dark skinned man wasn't nothing. And the light skinned man was in. You know what I'm saying? Like, this got to stop, y'all. Because to be honest with you, I done seen a million chocolate, fine, sexy brothers up out here. And it is some beautiful dark skinned women as well. Like, look at the new little model that just came out not too long ago. She is blacker than night. And I mean that in no harm. Like, none. That is the darkest woman I have ever seen in all my life. But she is beautiful still. If you look past the dark skin and see her features, she's beautiful. But we also need to start looking on the inside, because a lot of people ain't right. So it ain't about what's on the outside. It ain't about how fine somebody is. It ain't about the light. It ain't about the dark. Is this a demon? I'm just saying. So, y'all, I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Better yet, have the day you deserve.